Princess Catherine opens up about her new campaign as she kicks off Children's Mental Health Week.
This isn't just about raising kids, it's about shaping our futures.
Plus, Trevor Noah takes aim at Harry during the Grammys as Rupert Everett claims that he knows who Harry lost his virginity to.
But it feels like a really intimate story that Harry probably shouldn't have been telling. Because there's two people in that story. He's not just telling his story, he's telling this Sasha Walpole story as well.
Plus, author Angela Levin talks about her new book all about Camilla and her icy relationship with Prince Harry.
She's not a villain. She doesn't seek attention. Doesn't want to be in the center of the light going on. You know, she's very happy to be a background person.
We've got that plus so much more in today's Royally Us. Hello to our fellow royal lovers and welcome to Royally Us. I'm Christina, that's Christine. And Christine, we have a big week of royal news all over the spectrum.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about this week. A lot of diverse stories, not sort of the same stuff we've been cycling through, but and some really juicy stories as well.
Yeah, so we got you covered every which way. But before we get to all of that, like always, we want to see what you guys have to say about last week's show. LG says, I don't get why there's so much pressure to reconcile. You don't have to like your family. And if any relationship is toxic or makes you miserable, just acknowledge that it's sad, leave it behind, and live the life you pick for yourself. Not wrong.
I think this is so true. I remember a lot of people really wanted Kate and Meghan to be best friends. And I kept saying, you don't always like you're not always close to your in-laws. Mm-hmm. And even this is the same thing. Like, they don't have to reconcile. Lots of families don't and still live very happy lives.
That is very, very true. I think just everybody wants to, because we were so used to seeing these brothers grow up together in the spotlight and, always pictured them being, thick as thieves. But, it's not always like that. And that's okay. Yeah. Casey says, why should the royal family apologize to Meghan after her refusal to accept her own father's apology? Not wrong either.
A lot of people keep bringing up, the Meghan's relationship with Thomas Markle in this whole saga of Harry's relationship with his own family, and there's a lot of questions there. a lot of interesting head scratchers.
No, definitely. I mean, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors and things like that, so we'll never really know. But does raise an interesting topic. And then Brenda Nora says, I think James Middleton is a lovely guy, and you can see that their family have been brought up to be caring, respectful people, thanks to their amazing parents. Yeah, they definitely seem like a very well-rounded family and a very tight-knit family as well.
Yeah, you can really tell just the relationships that they have with each other, the projects, they're promoting each other's projects in very quiet ways and really supporting each other quietly, because I think they are private people. I think they want really private lives, but they've sort of been thrust into this spotlight.
Definitely. All right, let's head on over to our royal news of the week. And the Princess of Wales has been very busy, and she gave, I love this so much, she gave a very rare glimpse of her childhood with a very personal photo from her early years with her father, Michael. She wrote on Instagram, faces are our baby's best toy. And she launched this, of course, she launched Shaping Us to raise awareness of the vital role our early years play in shaping the rest of our lives. And she said, this weekend, we'd love for you to all spend time with your friends, families, colleagues, and communities, talking about your early childhoods and how they shaped your lives. She focused much of the charity work on supporting children in their early years, which we've talked about. And the Shaping Us campaign is intended to increase public understanding of the importance of the first 5 years of a child's life. But let's talk about this photo, because it is just so cute. And I love that we're getting this little glimpse of what childhood looked like for her.
It's so cute. It's so vintage 80s. Yeah. I mean, it's really sweet moment. And it's so normal. I feel like a lot of us have pictures that kind of looked like that, or those moments or memories that we can remember with our parents. And it's so strange to think that way back when, her family was unknown. They were very normal people. They weren't members of the royal family. This is a glimpse into a very normal British middle-class family. Mm-hmm. And now it's a picture of the future Queen of England.
I know, it's crazy to look back at that photo and look at that baby and be like, one day you'll be queen. That's just the craziest thing. It really is. Such a beautiful photo, such a beautiful family. And I love seeing it. And she's been really busy pushing this Shaping Us campaign. She spent some time with UK radio host Roman Kemp. They had a long, in-depth conversation about mental health, about shaping us, early childhood development, and so much more. So take a quick look.
The key things that I've come away with and what I've learned the most is, and which is what the science says really, is that the importance of having healthy and strong relationships in a child's life is really critical. Having a nurturing environment and having experiences in which a child can really understand and discover not only themselves, but also the world in which they live.
Yeah, I love this very, low-key, just walk in the park type of thing. And, talks about how tough parenting really is and, gets really candid about it. And of course, talking about, those first 5 years and how pivotal they are in the child's life, but also talking a lot about mental health as well.
It was interesting as she was sort of promoting this new project, the Shaping Us campaign, it's not really about parents or even teachers, because we all know how important this time is and we all know how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate was out there, she's speaking to Roman Kemp, who really appeals to sort of a younger male audience. She went out to Leeds Market just to meet with regular people throughout the Leeds community, because this campaign is about educating everybody else in how important these years are and how they can make a difference in the future by supporting families and children. Mm-hmm. So it was really interesting. It was really a different, tactic in addressing this. She wasn't really meeting with school children, although we did see her, getting with school children in some of the videos and interacting with them. But what's really important is, addressing that it's everybody's potential responsibility to help shape the future. And that's why I think she invited people to share from their own childhood. She didn't say share from your own children, because again, everyone has had a childhood experience. And I think this campaign is really about reaching a wider audience than just the parents and the teachers.
Definitely. I really love this. I love this campaign. I think it's really great. And I'm all about it. I'm also all about her wearing a 12-year-old jacket. A lot of people were talking about her wearing this vintage coat in this video with Roman. So we love that Kate recycles her old things and even keeps things in her closet that are decades old.
I love this. Yeah, we've seen this coat several times, sort of in private photos or pop photos, off-duty looks. And so to see it in this really official video was really nice. It looked very cozy. It's been very cold in the UK lately. So I'm sure it was, very beneficial for this sort of woodland walk that she was on.
Yeah, no, definitely. All I could see, like their breath, the smoke from their breath. I'm like, oh my God, it must be so cold. All right. Well, like you said, she also kicked off Children's Mental Health Week, and she joined some students at St. John's Primary School to chat about connecting with others and experiencing all different feelings. She sported an apron as she sat among the group and did some arts and crafts. So take a quick look.
It's lovely to be here at St. John's Primary School. It's been wonderful to speak to so many children here about the importance of connections and the important people in their lives too.
She has been busy.
Yeah, she's been doing so much. Really, there's a lot of talk in the press about how this is her life's work. And this is really her overarching campaign of her work is going to be supporting children and families in these, early years. And so this was a great tie-in to Shaping Us from last week was, supporting Children's Mental Health Week this week. Yeah. And a great way for her to support all the charities that she's patron of.
Mm-hmm, definitely. All right. Well, we've been talking about the cold weather over there in the UK, and King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla are doing something to help those in need this winter. The public will be given access to 3 of their royal residences: Scotland's Castle of May and Dumfries House, and the Orchid Room at Highgrove House. And it can be used as warm banks until March. In the UK, warm banks are spaces set up places like libraries, churches, community centers with those who struggle with loneliness and the cost of heating their homes during the winter. They can go and spend the day there and, get warmed up, have refreshments, and opportunity to kind of socialize with some other people. And it's really nice that they are opening up some of their homes to do so, because it's a long, cold winter. It really is.
This is such an incredible initiative. I think it really, piggybacks off of other royal families who have opened their homes, to Ukrainian refugees in the past. Mm-hmm. Just sort of making those enormous houses that they're not using beneficial to the public. And these warm banks have been popping up all over the UK. It's somewhere you can get, a cup of tea and a slice of cake, get it at the house, warm up, especially if you are struggling with the cost of living, if you are sleeping rough. But really, they've become community hubs where, there's no, in my experience, there's no shameful stigma. It's just a nice way to get out of the house, warm up. So many people are struggling right now. And I think making it literal castles will make it even more special for those people who are having a hard time.
Definitely, definitely. All right. Well, there's a lot of royal tea to be spilt this week, so let's get into it. Rupert Everett, he's an actor, of course. He is challenging a claim made by Prince Harry in his memoir Spare about how he lost his virginity. Though Harry said he lost it behind a pub in a grassy field. Rupert says in an interview that things happened a little bit differently. He said, by the way, I know who the woman he lost his virginity to is, and it wasn't behind a pub, and it wasn't in this country. I'm just going to put it out there that I know. Well, he said that in an interview, but this woman, Sasha Walpole, she was hired as an assistant groom at Highgrove in 1999. She came forward and claimed that she lost her virginity to Prince Harry. So which is it?
I mean, this is just a story. I don't know why Harry even included this in the memoir. And did he intend this story to take off the way that it's such an interesting story. You know, Sasha Walpole, she sort of said, I was never going to come out and say this story, but Harry's now shared this really intimate experience with the world. Mm-hmm. And she felt like she wanted to sort of set the record straight or, you know, share her side of the story, which is Harry's entire campaign lately is sharing his side of the story and speaking his truth. Right. So I can't say that I blame the woman. But it was interesting. You know, Harry says that it was an older woman and he was about 16 and she was about 19. So really interesting story. I think that he probably should have kept out of the memoir because now it's the story that will never die.
No, totally. But like you said, I don't blame her for coming forward. If somebody told an intimate detail of my life, I would want the right story to be out there as well. But she said it happened in 2001 when he was 16 years old and that, the pair had visited Thorpe Park in Surrey, where Harry won her a Miss Piggy toy wearing a tropical outfit. And then later on, they, I guess, did the deed. And but yeah, like she's kept this. I mean, kudos to her for keeping this a secret for this long. I mean, she could have sold this story a really long time ago and she didn't. And he put it out there and she deserves to tell her side as well.
I think so. You know, she does say that they were drunk and it was sort of an awkward thing between friends, but it feels like a really intimate story that Harry probably shouldn't have been telling. Yeah. Because there's two people in that story. He's not just telling his story. He's telling this Sasha Walpole story as well. So again, I hope she got a really big payday and I do not blame her at all.
I do not blame her at all. No. All right. Well, moving on to Princess Kate, because she has hired a public relations guru, Alison Corfield, as her new private secretary. She is a PR mastermind who's worked for the likes of Jamie Oliver, and she is set to join Kate's team as a senior aide later this month. She dedicated 13 years of her career working at Richard Branson's Virgin Empire, and she has set up Virgin Brides in 1999. She was the brains behind Jamie Oliver's childhood obesity and free school meals campaign, and she will be stepping into the shoes of former diplomat and foreign office official Hannah Cockburn-Lodge. So some shakeups going on in the royal household.
Yeah, this is a huge change as well. Alison Corfield has, you know, a really lengthy history, but it's mostly private sector. You know, she's not described as a diplomat or a foreign office official. She is really a PR person has experience in these types of campaigns. And Jamie Oliver's childhood obesity campaign was huge. It was widespread and it was very popular. So hopefully this new private secretary can breathe a lot of life and push a lot forward for Kate in a way that, you know, the old school way of doing things maybe wasn't making as much of an impact.
Definitely. It's here to shake things up. Circling back to Prince Harry, of course, I mean, we keep talking about it, and his book was a topic of conversation at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards. Trevor Noah cracked a joke about a revealing passage in the book about his frostbitten penis while he was introducing James Corden. Noah said, James Corden is a 12-time Emmy winner and the host of The Late Late Show. He's also living proof that a man can move from London to LA and not tell everyone about his frostbitten penis. Very true.
I mean, what can you say? Another story that maybe Harry shouldn't have shared.
Right. Shouldn't have shared that. Maybe shouldn't have shared that Prince William's circumcised. You know, the list goes on. It really does. Well, there are some famous friends that don't seem to mind Harry's, truth bombs. And that is Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi, because they were on hand for their surprise vow renewal. They thought it was a 50th birthday party for Portia. However, it turned into a vow renewal ceremony, and it was officiated by Kris Jenner. And Ellen had no idea about the surprise, and Portia wore her wedding dress from 2008. But yeah, Meghan and Harry were on hand, and they're definitely rubbing elbows with the A-listers in Hollywood.
It was definitely an A-list Hollywood guest list. And I think that's where Harry and Meghan sort of want to find themselves, on that A-list Hollywood circuit. I have to say, Portia de Rossi's dress is so iconic. I was excited to see it again. And it's so beautiful.
All these years later, it still holds up and is absolutely beautiful.
Yes, what a testament to timeless fashion. But yeah, I think this is the first of many times we're going to see Harry and Meghan in these A-list circuits. I would, keep an eye out on things like the Met Ball, the big red carpets this year, to see where they're sort of going to find their place in the celebrity minefield.
Totally. I totally agree with you. I think that they are going to be making their Met Gala debut this year for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, this is an interesting story. So Lady Anne Glencomer, she was left a little bit mad and perplexed over the crown after she agreed to meet with Helena Bonham Carter, who of course portrayed Princess Margaret. She said, I saw Helena Bonham Carter. She came to tea about acting Princess Margaret, how she spoke and walked. I said, I never saw her run. After I saw The Crown, I was very disappointed and told her it was rather awful, wasn't it? She added that they couldn't afford to film The Crown at Glen, her family's ancestral home. When they filmed Princess Margaret first meeting Roddy Llewellyn, we were sitting by a pool at what looked like a ghastly country club. She said they had me pimping for her with us both in bikinis. Princess Margaret never wore a bikini. So cheap. They really should put a disclaimer at the beginning of The Crown saying it isn't true. Tell us how you really feel.
I love that she's mostly upset that they were in bikinis at a ghastly country club. That really sounds like that they've gone too far.
I love it.
But no, it's so interesting. People who are actually involved in this time of history, or, people who are portrayed in The Crown, are saying this is so untrue and misleading, and there should be a disclaimer. I feel like this idea of a disclaimer in front of The Crown comes up time and time and time again. And it's so interesting to see that. I've never seen this happen before in historical documentaries or historical, fictional shows, but people are really passionate about The Crown, it seems, and sort of protecting that legacy.
Right, definitely. But people still watch it and still entertained. And
still gonna watch it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're still gonna watch. We're still gonna watch. All right. Well, now it is time to break down the royal rules. And this week we sat down with Angela Levin. She is, of course, a royal expert and an author of the brand new book, Camilla, From Outcast to Queen Consort. We chatted all about her book, Harry's claims and spare, about whether or not Camilla really was the villain. Take a look. Obviously the media shaped how we viewed Camilla, and she's been through so much for the name of love. Obviously the affair with the princess, with now King Charles and things like that. But how did the media shape our perception of Camilla? And do you feel like it has changed, or do you feel like, after Harry's book, did we regress at all?
I think one regrets for Harry, really. I think he's made such a mess of himself now that it's too terrible for words, really, how he could want to do that and try and destroy everybody. But it's backfired, and actually he's destroying himself, frankly. But I think that the press are very like a firework. They blow up and something happens and they just hit it and go on and on. I mean, there were 10 years where she barely left her home because there were paparazzi and journalists outside wanting to talk to her, following her, and all the descriptions to highlight it, partly because Diana was so loved that she was called, the most hated woman in the world, the most hated woman in Britain. But I think people gradually realized that they didn't know who this woman was. They had no idea, really. They kept glimpses of her, but they didn't know what her personality was like. They didn't know what she was doing. They just blamed her for Diana. They blamed her for Diana's death, which is absolutely not her fault. And they blamed her for the separation.
It's also so interesting that I don't think I realized is that how many obstacles she had to face within the family as well, that Prince Andrew did not want them to get married. Princess Anne was not a fan of Camilla. And of course, William and Harry didn't want to as well. I mean, why did Prince Andrew and Princess Anne, why were they so opposed to this relationship?
because she'd been married before, she wasn't from the right sort of family. Prince Andrew has a very different reason then to Princess Anne. He hoped, and this is quite exclusive really, he hoped that he could persuade his mother to throw Prince Charles out because he wasn't going to let Camilla go. Therefore, Prince William could be the sort of future king, but he would be too young. So Andrew could be taking over and run it until till William grew up. So that was sort of self-interest. And Princess Anne had the interest that she was a very, very hard worker. Mm-hmm. And she didn't know if Camilla was going to be that sort of hard worker. She'd also gone out with Camilla's first husband. They both sort of were crossing over with Andrew Parker Bowles, who had eyes for every woman he could see. And so some of the reasons were the same and some of their reasons were very different.
How did Diana describe Camilla to the boys? I mean, I think you write in the book that she was the bitter enemy. Do you think that kind of got stuck in their head for all of these years going forward?
I do think that Diana worked very hard to get the boys to absolutely hate her. Mm-hmm. She, poor thing, was, so unhappy herself. And she sort of loved Charles, but she sort of didn't. And she just wanted Camilla to be a sort of witch, but she did a similar thing to not a nanny, but to a companion that Prince Charles had got. She accused her of all sorts of things because she longed to do all that for herself. And once they separated, they couldn't, and she didn't want to lose the children. Mm-hmm. And so it was very, very difficult for children who really, really loved her to find good things in Camilla. It's taken quite a long time. I mean, Prince William has a very different makeup to Harry. And I think he was also helped by Catherine, his wife, both now Prince and Princess of Wales. And she really tried her best to make them feel that this woman was absolutely awful. And that's what they absorbed.
Harry, in the lead up to Spare, called Camilla, called her out for leaking stories to rehabilitate her image, said she was dangerous. A villain. A villain. What was your reaction to that? Because you wrote a book about Prince Harry and spent a lot of time with him. So, I mean, was this the Harry that you knew? And were you surprised about these actions?
No, I spent a lot of time, 15 months with mm-hmm. Harry in 2017 and 18. And I thought he was terrific. He was full of energy. He was full of humor. He was like his mother in the way he could deal with people. He had a marvelous instinct. People had been damaged mentally and physically. He did get scratchy, but then don't we all? And that didn't seem to matter very much. But here now is very different. And for the wedding, when Camilla got married, he said, we love her to pieces. Mm-hmm. And they were very kind. Maybe they didn't love her quite as much as they said, but they could see, as they said, they make our father very happy. And so that was it. But she's not a villain. She doesn't seek attention. Doesn't want to be in the center of the light going on. She's very happy to be a background person. And she's not a plotter. She's not like that. She's just not.
Do you think, knowing the royal family as close as spending time with them and, writing about them for so many years, do you foresee any way back to some sort of reconciliation between both sides? And have there been any talks?
Well, it's an interesting question. I don't think anyone from the royal side are going to say anything without coming up with some sort of conclusion. I think they will keep the plan very quiet, if there is a plan, whereas Harry is laying down the rule in a rather bully guy manner, that I'm not doing this unless you do this. We've got to go through everything. We've got to apologize to Meghan, it's in your court, but I'm not coming unless you do X, Y, Z. You might as well say, well, who do you think you are now? But it depends on the nature. King Charles is a monarch, but he's also a father. He loves Harry. He might not like what he's doing, but he loves him. And there's a weakness there for him. He doesn't want to lose him as a son. Camilla is somebody who feels that, give it time and it'll all come round. She also loves her own children from her first marriage and like Harry and doesn't want to lay down the law. But I think the public feel very differently. I do. I mean, I did like Harry, but I don't want him to come to the coronation. I really don't. I don't think he's deserved it. I think you can be rude, okay, with Oprah. They said it all, not going on and on and on and on. And I think he's very much crossed a line. And I don't want him to take away the occasion from the king.
Right, because that's what everybody will be talking about if they do.
Yeah, I don't want them to talking about Harry and Meghan and what they're doing and are they late and are they, whereas I think we've got to focus on our new king.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there have been, obviously, there's reports all the time, but there have been reports that they are planning to invite them to the coronation. Like you said, you think that would be a mistake for the royal family to do?
They haven't actually not invited him. They've just said it's open, it's welcome. You see, but Harry's insisting that he wants to sit down and have this long conversation. And if they apologize for one thing, I'm absolutely certain he'll come up with another 350 that is also he's annoyed about. And he'll be going through all these things. And I think also if you show weakness, he will attack harder.
What do you think they're hoping to accomplish and achieve?
Yeah, that's a $50 question.
Right.
Well, I think that she was very disappointed with how she was received because there is this alignment of, there was the Queen and Prince Philip, there was Charles, Camilla, there was William, and then they were after that. It's all in line. And she didn't like that. She wanted to be number one. That's what she goes after. And she's punishing them for their behavior. I think she would like to destroy the monarchy because I can't understand why you're quite so rude. If you don't like it, fair enough. Nobody stopped them. They wish them well. And they've gone. They've got a house with 16 bathrooms. They've got a child of each sex. They love each other. And they've got a future ahead of them, but they're clinging on to the past in the most extraordinary way, which must make them very angry and upset. And I can only see it in a destructive way. I mean, why do that? Walk away. If you don't like something, you don't like someone, you don't have to have anything to do with them. But you can't spend 2 years, nearly 3 years, criticizing them non-stop.
I mean, it seems like everybody's kind of in agreement that a reconciliation is not on the table, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Well, let's get into our royal history moment of the week. And it feels like every week so far, we're auctioning off something from Princess Diana. And this week, some friends are selling letters that she wrote to them during her divorce from Prince Charles. Lay's auctioneers announced the sale of 32 letters that the late Princess of Wales sent to Susie and Tariq Qasim during the last 2 years of her life. The auction house described them as highly personal letters and cards as astonishing and confidential, and they are set to hit auction on February 16th. They said in a statement that Susie and Tariq Qasim are very close friends of Diana, Princess of Wales. They have treasured these letters for over 25 years. They reflect the special and loving relationship they had with the most unique woman that they had ever known. Now in 2023, the ownership of these poignant documents is a responsibility that the Qasims do not wish to pass on to their children or grandchildren. They have decided to sell the letters and use proceeds of the sale to support some of the charities that were close to Susie and Diana's hearts. That's nice. They released a photo of one of the letters, which was dated February 17th, 1996. It stated, "Darling Susie, thank you for all the lovely things you said to me on the telephone tonight. You have no idea the joy and trust you and Tarek have introduced into my life, and I count myself extremely fortunate, both Tarek and you, for believing in me." She signed it with an Love Diana with an X. I mean, it's nice that they, are using the proceeds for charities and not using it for their pockets.
It's a very interesting story, a very interesting situation, because on the one hand, the letter literally says, "Thank you for, the trust.
Right.
I trust you." And there's so many intimate details in these letters talking about the nightmare of her divorce.
Right.
And you have to wonder why this couple's choosing to sell them. And it will probably benefit, give a lot of money to a lot of important causes. And, Diana has been dead a really long time, but this is such an interesting story. I would love to hear in the comments what people think, if this is a good move or a bad move, because I really can't decide.
I know, same here. I mean, my first thought about it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of fishy. And then, but they never said the charities that the sale of the letters will benefit were not named in the statement. So we don't know exactly where the money is going as of yet. I can't imagine that they would lie about that. That would be really weird. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting that they're not passing them down or, reaching out to the royal family to see if maybe they want them. I don't know. So
yeah, really interesting. I'm going to follow this story, I think, because like you said, why not return them to William and Harry, or why not just pass them down, or, burn them?
Right.
There's so many options, but at the same time, none of those options raise money for whatever important cause was important to Susie and Diana. So hopefully there's a happy ending to this in the form of a big check for, some charities.
Definitely. All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Royally Us. Please let us know in the comments what you think. So keep commenting, keep subscribing, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye. For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.